Dear viewers, subscribe to the channel and put a like on the video so YouTube can recommend you new stories and new chapters. If anything, you can always remove the like if you don't like the story. Thank you for your support, and here we go. On the Road to Happiness. Chapter 3. I looked at Amelia, who was already pulling herself out of the pool, and followed her. I might as well be punished for someone else's crime. By the time I swam up to the concrete edge of the pool, Damien was already sitting there, grinning, waiting for us. His eyes told me to come closer, but I was nervous about what he had in store for the two of us for breaking his sacred rules. "Turn around and bend over," he said coldly, twirling his finger to indicate exactly what he wanted to do. "Hands on your knees." Amelia rolled her eyes, but was the first to assume the pose, hands on her knees. I did the same. Then he did something, and I blushed. Noticing that Abel had his phone out and was obviously recording, and knowing him and his penchant for watching, probably streaming the whole thing live. "Come on, Abel, live in the moment for once and put that thing away," Damien ordered from behind us, and I fell silent, waiting. I felt my legs tremble. He had been waiting for what seemed like an eternity. Time had literally stopped while we all waited for Abel to put his phone away. As soon as he slid into his jeans, Damien's hand came down sharply, first on me, then on Amelia, making us both cry out in pain that was intensified by the wet clothes. "Such bad girls, I swear. Those two can never stay out of trouble," Dame commented, slapping my ass again, and then moved on to Amelia. He was really doing it all with force. Aaron walked over and leaned down to my face, gently bringing his hand to my cheek. "I don't know if it'll work to wear her down," he grinned. "She's pretty firm in her stand." I was already realizing whose side he was on. The traitor. I pulled away from him and cast a playful glance at my lover. Of course he was going to mess with the other men in the group, no matter how cute he was. "Hey, you know we didn't jump, right?" asked Amelia, squealing at another spanking. "The sound was very satisfying and sharp. I wish I could be on the other side to look and see. It was them. They were the ones who broke your rule." She pointed at Abel and Aaron, who moved a little closer together. Looking over the side of the pool, Abel casually and naturally put his hand on my boyfriend's shoulder and slowly and teasingly pulled him to him, smirking as he spoke. "Don't worry. If she doesn't want to show you affection, I will." I realized he was just trying to tease me, play a trick on me. I inhaled sharply, the force of the blow making me stagger a little. "Ow, stop it," I whined, turning to face him. I couldn't help but be a little mouthy after so many spankings since this morning. Damien grinned and took my wrists in his hands. "Poor thing. Was that too much?" he asked, not letting me move any farther away from him. I was afraid to move closer, not wanting to receive more punishment. But when he pulled me to him, he kissed me instead. It was a quick, chaste kiss on the lips before he broke it off and looked me in the eyes with his icy blue eyes. "I think you understand. Do you, Amelia?" he asked, grabbing one of her cheeks roughly. I heard her squeak first. "Yes, sir," she exhaled, shivering from her still-bent posture, before Dame stepped away from me and walked over to her, forcing her to stand up straight so he could smack her. "That's a good girl, but you need to train your little friend better," he grinned. A gleam appeared in his eyes as he looked between us. It was as if he already had an idea in his head. Dame kept it to himself, though, probably wanting to ponder it longer. His attention shifted to Aaron and Abel, who were a few feet away from us. Rolling his eyes, he reached over and gave Aaron a good smack, making him cringe. "You two will be next. Do I need to put a hose on both of you?" While Dame teased the other two, I slipped away to the pool house to change into my wet clothes. I started ripping it off as soon as I was in the doorway and threw everything into the laundry basket in Aaron and I's bedroom. In the cool air of the house, my skin was also cold from the moisture. I walked to the bathroom and walked over to the mirror to look at my ass. It did indeed show the red imprint of Damien's hand, and I sighed slightly. Was this what I should have gotten myself into? It was potentially too much, even for me. Too rough, and Aaron was sweet and romantic. Or at least he was. Though I knew that by playing this role, I'd be paying our bills for months to come. I didn't want to ruin anything for Aaron. As I stood in front of the mirror to take another look at the red mark on my ass, I heard someone making their way into the bedroom, and a quiet knock on the door. "Liv, are you here?" Emilia's gentle voice came from the other side. I smiled, stretched, and opened the door, letting her come in, still in her wet clothes. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern written all over her face as she looked over my body. Soon their gaze moved to the red mark. He was a little rough. Her fingers were light as feathers, as they ran over me and the sore spot. "Yeah, I guess it's a little early for something like that." I laughed lightly, feeling silly for letting it hurt me so much. I had already shown Damien that I could handle so much more. I even blushed as I almost forcefully made Emilia kneel down behind me. I gasped and even jumped slightly, making the other girl giggle. "I'm sorry, is that too much?" Emilia asked. "I just wanted to calm him down a bit. Maybe a little lotion would help better." With those words, Emilia tried to rise, but I put my hand on her shoulder, holding her in place. At first, I was surprised at the move myself and didn't know what to say. I just looked back at her before opening my mouth. No, that really helped. It sounded a little lame to me, but Emilia went from confusion to a cute smile playing on her face. Her hands were on me again, this time both of them filling my cheeks as she tried her best not to hurt the sore spot. I brought my hands back to cover hers, enjoying how soft and thin they were. I guided them, not caring about the pain as she groped me thoroughly. "I want to see you with her." Aaron's voice echoed in my head as I decided to slowly turn around. Emilia took one look at what she was working with and kneeled down, kissing right on that very spot. I gasped, throwing my head back at the sensation. She'd obviously done this before. I grabbed onto the sink behind me, doing my best not to fall. "Ah, shit," I said, throwing one of my legs over the woman's slender shoulder. My fingers tangled in her hair and clawed at it. Emilia really was talented. I realized why guys liked her so much. I was already close, my head thrown back and my heel pressed against her back. "Ladies!" came Abel's voice from the pool house. I groaned slightly as we both looked toward the entrance to the bathroom. Abel was already in view when I slid my foot off the bed and blushed like crazy. "Wow, can't leave you two alone together even for a minute?" He laughed, leaning against the doorway and looking at us. I rolled my eyes, since he clearly wasn't looking at either of our faces when he spoke. "We just came in to pee," I stated, turning away from him. At the same time, naked, perversion. Abel laughed, reached out and took my hand along with Emilia's, helping her up from her knees. "Let's go. You can't leave us like this," he said, pulling us out of the bathroom and guiding us to the door. "We want to watch you have fun too. I want to see you with her." There's that voice in my head again. Maybe it would be better if we went back to it right outside with the boys. I wanted to show off in front of Aaron, and it would be rude to leave the other two out, especially Damien, since it was his place and all. It took a second to get used to the sight of the pool. The sun was shining brighter than before, beaming down on our bodies as we walked back out. Aaron looked shocked to see us like this, while Dame was completely unfazed, except for a small smirk that appeared on his face. "What were you two doing back there? You both shine," Dame commented. I looked over, and he wasn't the least bit wrong. Emilia had done a great job. I was so plastered you could see it glistening in the sun. As soon as we were close enough, Damien got up from his seat and walked over to us, taking Abel's place and inspecting us with a smirk. His eyes sparkled as he realized how involved we both were already. Such bad girls again, having fun without us. I worried for a moment, taking a deep breath that matched his fingers. I got nervous, fearing another harsh punishment from him, but he simply removed his hands, running them down our backs and guiding us to face each other. "Tell us what it was like, okay?" Emilia glanced at me and giggled, then immediately stepped closer and ran her hands over my shoulders, then wrapped her arms around my neck. She was performing in front of Dame. It felt so good to have her soft body pressed against mine. As I accepted her kiss, I realized I could still taste it. Kissing another woman was more tender than with any of the men present. When the kiss broke, I realized that Abel was recording again, and probably broadcasting live to his entire audience. Now we weren't just performing in front of 3 men, but thousands of others. "Oh, so he's filming now?" asked Emilia with a giggle, glancing at Dame, who shrugged. He needs something to keep his hands busy. Damien grinned as we both looked at Abel, who nodded for us to continue. Emilia seemed satisfied with the answer. She put on quite a show. Emilia really played with me, and it was amazing. Liv better get to work, Aaron cut in. I frowned and glared at him, finding that even my lover was already in on the process, standing off to the side. She could be a pillow princess if given the chance. He thought he was sly, but I knew exactly what he wanted to see. Emilia giggled, and I flinched for a moment at the rush of cool morning air as she pulled away from me. "You're right," she teased. Straightening up, she took my hand and led me over to one of the chaise lounges, turned around with a wide grin, and laid down on it, saying, "Now it's your turn." I was nervous and felt all the male eyes, both here and in cyberspace, looking through me as if I was translucent as I looked down at her. My eyes were fixed on her. I had only tasted myself, so I had to memorize the taste. I tasted cautiously, realizing that while she didn't have it like I did, it wasn't bad at all. It was even good. Knowing what I liked, I didn't hold back and got down to business. Her sounds were as beautiful as she was while I was getting used to it all. I was gentle at first, not wanting to overdo it. I felt the guys move closer. There was a light smack and I realized it was Damien without even seeing him. Too curious not to, I stopped and looked to see who it was, and to my surprise Damien held me back so Aaron could continue. Abel even moved closer to take it all off so he could see it better. I felt so exposed. During all of this, I began to crave another cigarette. Thankfully, I was able to distract myself. Emilia was close to it, and I tried my best not to be distracted by anything. After finishing, I felt like I was soaked in her scent. Despite all this, I was still missing something. I was missing one of the three men standing behind me. I felt Aaron pull away from me. I was turned around to face Dame. "I can see you need this," he said with a smirk. "I guess I won't have to take you this time. I can give you what you really want, you poor needy little thing." Holding me up with one strong arm, he walked out, and I watched as Aaron climbed into the chaise lounge and settled next to Emilia. Abel seemed just as happy to stand there and take pictures of us all. "Oh shit," I croaked, throwing my head back. This position played in his favor too, as he brought all my weight down on him. Soon my voice was joined by Emilia's shout, as Aaron did similar things on the chaise lounge. I wanted to see more, but Dame demanded my attention. I brought my hands up to his shoulders for reassurance and dug my nails into his shirt. Damien chuckled softly. "That's all you needed, right? Good timing?" I tried to respond, but all I got were moments of pleasure. How long he was doing it was making me crazy. "Damn it, Damien," I said, choking again. He continued to do his dirty deeds. Epilogue. For the next few months, life became a roller coaster. Terrific highs were followed by equally terrific lows. It didn't slow down, of course, but it became more relaxed as we sort of got into a routine. If what we had could be called routine. The evenings were literally on a schedule, with whoever wanted them. Sounds of pleasure echoed throughout the house, followed by grunts and cries of delight. Damien kept us in his pool house. Aaron joked that we were in his chicken coop, and Damien was acting like a fox. He would show up and stir things up. He would take whatever chicken he wanted into the house for the evening. All this meant we didn't have to go back to the apartment, except for clean evening clothes and play clothes. Aaron couldn't go without them for long. He used them as vacation time, until Abel used it for streaming. It wasn't until the weather changed a bit that we felt the need to get dressed. Our lives changed when Abel and Emilia moved away too. Everything fell into place, even though Abel was constantly broadcasting our lives. Why so many people watched me clipping my toenails that night, I never understood. Probably because I was without everything. Speaking of streaming, we're all used to performing in front of Abel and his thousands of subscribers. We even recognized the regular contributors to his chat. We each had our own favorites. Emilia and I were competing to see who would get the most money. She had an advantage over me, so she could win by a wide margin. It wasn't a drunken party every night, but we could choose who to cuddle and kiss, and then lay down and spend the night with. Aaron really wanted to make a work schedule. He would sit at the computer and excel for hours, setting up who was with who and when, and it was impressive to watch. It was like a multicolored universe, so there was no chance of jealousy. We had equal time with everyone. Damien instantly took the sheet and tossed it aside, crumpling the hours of work in his fist in a few seconds. Aaron was visibly upset. It was decided that it was up to us to emotionally sort out who was with whom and when, not the computer. Not to mention that Dame wasn't too interested in taking Dave for walks every Tuesday night. Taking the little dog into his house had taken a lot of convincing. The man saw him as a barking, growling, shit-producing pest and just someone to look after. On his own, he couldn't do anything. But by talking him down, we were able to get his blessing and moved our precious puppy into the house, hoping Damien would become attached to him. The four of us and our dog lived in a pool house where there was complete harmony, and whenever he could, Damien graced us with his presence. He never knew where he was or when, neither did we. But when he was here, he wanted me or Amelia or both to be with him. Aaron and Abel could easily entertain themselves for the entire evening. I had no worries. Aaron and I tried to keep working, but we felt it was right to have some money of our own. It wasn't fair that Abel and Damien were fully funding us. What I meant by that was that the money for the evenings kind of dried up, unless you counted Abel's $200 every time I went out with him. And that happened mostly every morning when Aaron was at work. He didn't need to know that as soon as he left for work, I'd move into the other bedroom, even though Amelia was there too, and snuggle up to him. It was nice and cozy there. I was sure Aaron was doing the same thing with Amelia in the afternoons. I felt that part of the unwritten contract of living here was that I had to be available to Damien at all hours of the day and night. I didn't complain, of course. I was enjoying it. It gave me something that neither Aaron nor Abel wanted. They were both special, but ordinary. All three men offered me something of their own. Then there was my magical time with Amelia. She was gorgeous and also so sweet and beautiful. She was also insanely passionate and loving. I understood why men loved her. And I did too. Our activity depended on our mood and energy. I can't deny that sometimes it was hard to get back together with Aaron, especially after being with Amelia. Yes, we knew each other, inside and out. Kissing and loving him felt right. He was my true lover. I knew he was doing the same for Amelia and Abel. Can I say no to him? No. I loved imagining what Abel was doing with me. I could do it knowing that the next morning when I stepped out on the porch, I could light a cigarette, satisfy my lungs, then grinningly spend time with Abel's. Sometimes on weekends, if I behaved well, Damien would spend more time with me. However, as our lives progressed, conversations about Japan became more and more frequent. Plans and ideas were hatched like there was no tomorrow. Ideas about where to stay, what to do, and what to see. It was an exciting opportunity, but I knew that living together, we had to adjust to the unexpected. Everything turned upside down, and my world and my stomach did another somersault. From talking about the big wild world to feeling very small. My life went from exciting and divine to extremely complicated in one fell swoop. There's no getting away from it. My period came very late. Too late. I felt like I was having the best time of my life. It was literally like there was no tomorrow. I was so used to everything being like clockwork. I could explain to Aaron why I had to be with Damien on certain days. Where he wanted to go, he wasn't exactly there. Deep down, I knew the reason why. I may have accidentally, on purpose, but completely by accident, stopped taking the pill as regularly as I should have. I knew it was completely wrong and dangerous, knowing that I was living such an exciting life as I was. At the time, my honest excuse was that I woke up in the wrong bedroom and the pills were in the other bedroom. Now the odds of that were 1 in 3 men. Or could it be built-in stress? Could I have just missed a cycle? At first, I couldn't dare tell anyone about it, not even Aaron. It was going to ruin our new glorious fun, carefree lifestyle that we had cultivated. I had an interesting job that paid well. At 25, I realized I was too young to be a mother. I needed to have a heart-to-heart talk with Amelia. She would know what to do. Leaving themselves internally stewing, the stars finally aligned the following Friday night, and the guys went to the pub together. They spent the evening playing pool and drinking beer. For Abel, it was something else. I suggested we give them a men's night out. It was only fair. I promised to enjoy a beer with one or both of them later. Amelia, thankfully, also agreed with the idea of spending the night in free male company. Besides, at that moment, I didn't think it was wise to drink too much, just in case. We settled down on the couch, just the two of us. Even she was drinking orange juice. She claimed it was a detox night. The TV was on, but neither of us were watching it. We sat on either side of the couch with our eyes tucked into our phones. Dave was snoring loudly on the floor. Our legs and feet were tangled. At times like this, optional clothing made sense. It was a very easy way to live. None of us sitting here had any problems, any insecurities. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her put her phone on the armrest and cough. She wanted my attention. I was ready for a kiss. But my first thought when I heard the noise was that I hadn't smoked in a while, and I really should go out for a cigarette. Her emotions changed suddenly. Her face became stern and serious, something she hadn't shown me at all in the past few carefree months. Then it quickly spilled outward. It was as if things were building up inside her, like a volcanic eruption. "Are you late too?" I stared into her eyes, watching her lower lip and chin quiver, and tears begin to form in her own tear ducts. There was nothing else for me to do. I had to nod in agreement. A drop trickled down my cheek, and a week's worth of hidden emotions burst out with force. Emilia opened her arms and, kissing me on my tear-salty lips, accepted my head as I suddenly couldn't stop crying. When she squeezed me and hugged me tightly, she couldn't help herself either, and we were both utterly confused as water poured down our faces. If we had bothered to put on makeup, it would have been ruined. At that moment, I suddenly felt closer to Emily than I had in the entire 12 weeks I'd lived in this strange character. We both had an elementary problem that had the potential to escalate into a fundamental and complex issue. So over a much-needed calming cigarette, we devised a plan. We both got dressed, and taking Dave with us, walked slowly hand in hand down the street to the convenience store. There we quietly took turns going through the checkout line, buying pregnancy test kits. Smiling in appreciation at the guy at the register, we both bought identical kits. We then headed back down the street, passing 2 pubs in town. Firstly, to give Dave a proper walk, and secondly, in case the boys popped out for a smoke as we passed. We could never explain why we were out. No one had ever taken the dog out that late. It was then, while walking in the moonlight, that the next stage of the plan was devised to discreetly tell the boys exactly what was going on. Drunk Aaron is never fun, unless I'm drunk too. But since I was still completely sober, and my head was spinning as I did all the actions while he climbed on top and did his thing, I was trying my best to enjoy it. And he, of course, was enjoying it. After 12 weeks of trying, he finally won 1 game of pool against Abel. He was celebrating. He was less happy that Abel had won all the others. I was relieved when he finally rolled off the bed. I grinned to myself. Emily's loud squeals still echoed through the thin walls. Abel always lingered. She was definitely enjoying him. He always had more stamina than Aaron, up to what he wanted. At that moment, I wished we hadn't switched places. They are both amazing. I loved every moment with each of them. In the evening, with tears streaming down our noses, and us walking hand in hand and putting the world to rights, we spent time conspiring wisely. So, before the men got home, we agreed to get up early, quietly slip out of bed and get dressed. Then the 2 of us will head to a local cafe for breakfast and let the boys deal with their hangovers without us making too much fuss. Dave will remind them to feed him. We sat across from each other and grinned, interlacing our fingers on the table and squeezing each other for reassurance. The sun was shining through the window. With our Danish pastries and regularly serviced coffee, it was peaceful. A steady stream of customers, their chatter competing with the hissing noise of the barista making cappuccinos. The morning was getting warmer, and the hot sun shone through the large windows, illuminating the steam rising from the coffee. It felt good to get out of the house. Both phones were on the table, and in between giggles and nervous smiles as we looked at each other, we lowered our eyes to the black screen, waiting for it to vibrate with a predictable message or call. After all, we knew the stress level at the pool house was going to rise. I also texted Damien to sweetly ask for his presence this morning, hinting that I really needed him. I smiled at Emilia, knowing he would be with them soon. On the kitchen counter in front of the coffee maker, where Aaron had immediately gone to solve the problem of Abel and his own hangover. There were 4 pregnancy tests lying neatly in a row. It didn't matter which one was whose. The results were the same. We thought it wise to let all three men figure it out for themselves. We didn't think it was necessary to tell them what was what. We would sit in the sun for a while longer, enjoying decaf coffee, sunshine, and each other's company, and then we'd wait for the phone call. The first to go was my cell phone. It vibrated loudly on the wooden table. A message from Aaron. "Where are you?" I pointed at the screen, looking at Amelia, who grinned nervously, folding her hands together, almost praying for an answer. I rubbed my lips in anticipation, typing my answer on my phone. "Having coffee and cake with Amelia? Hope you're feeling well this morning?" I was. A little hungover. "Please come home soon." I tapped my fingers restlessly on the table and looked at Amelia for inspiration. She read the text, then looked into her unfinished mug. "Shall we finish this and then head home?" She smiled warmly. "It's going to be 30 minutes. We needed time for them to think." Well, that's the end of our story. As we delve into the complex dynamics of their relationship, we encounter themes of desire, intimacy, and uncertainty that unfold in more detail in our Patreon. In this chapter, we watch Liv and Amelia deal with the intricacies of their unconventional relationships with Damien, Aaron, and Abel. From moments of passion to unexpected revelations, their journey takes them to unexpected places, both emotionally and physically. At the heart of this narrative is the tension between desire and responsibility. Liv is torn between her deepening bond with Amelia and her commitment to Aaron, struggling with the consequences of her actions. Amelia, too, struggles with her own desires and the complexities of their shared reality. As the chapter unfolds, the characters are faced with the unexpected prospect of pregnancy, which casts a shadow of uncertainty over their already troubled lives. Amidst the chaos, they have to confront their fears and insecurities and grapple with the consequences of their choices. But in the midst of uncertainty, there is resilience and strength. Liv and Amelia find solace in each other's company, drawing strength from their bond as they navigate the challenges ahead. And as they await the inevitable confrontation with their partners, they find solace in the simple joys of camaraderie and solidarity. As we reflect on this chapter, we are reminded of the complexity of human relationships and the many ways in which we navigate the complexities of desire, intimacy, and responsibility. And as our characters face the uncertainty of the future, we are left wondering what awaits them in the chapters to come. But one thing is certain: their journey is far from over, and the road ahead promises both challenges and opportunities for growth. Until next time, dear viewers, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like so that YouTube recommends you new stories, post-scriptum. Yes, this represents the end of the story and its logical conclusion. Further, the story is already happening behind the scenes, and we will most likely never know what happened to these couples.